Well, good morning, everybody. There's only one way you can get me to sit in the front row in church. And that's to have me do what I have to do this morning. Not just good morning, but also, if I may, even before I begin a talk, on behalf of my family, I'd like to thank you all. I think, I understand, many of you are probably thinking about or praying for Paxton at the moment, and on behalf of Tracy and Pax and myself and the whole family, Grandma and Granddad, I really would like to thank you for those prayers. It's a really tough situation that he's in, and we don't know moment to moment how prayers work. But all I can tell you is sometimes moments come up and it's like this small voice just whispers in your ear that this moment would not have happened if it hadn't been for the prayers of so many people. And sometimes another thought will come through your mind, and it is that another moment that didn't happen and hasn't happened because of the prayers of so many people. Do you understand what I mean? Sometimes it's not just the good things that do happen. Sometimes it's the bullets that we dodge, that we don't even realize, just went whizzing past. So, thank you, sincerely, and I'm sorry Paxton really wanted to come today. He really likes to hear his dad talk, and his dad really likes it when he's here, to hear him talk, but he just, it really was just a little bit overwhelming today. So if there's anyone here in spirit more strongly than him, I doubt it. But so anyway, on behalf of my family, thank you. Now, I'd like to do an experiment with you, if you don't mind. I'm not sure how religious this is, but we're going to do a little experiment. One of the verses and one of the songs we just sang, I think, said something like, is it with every breath?
With every breath I take, I will give thanks to God above. For as long as I shall live,
right. With every breath I take, I will give thanks to God above. So, here's what we're going to do. When I say go, I want you just in your relaxed state to count your breaths. And we'll count for 1 minute. Now, this is not a competition. Okay, for all you A-type personalities or A-positive personalities, this is not a competition. So, I'll say, 5, 4, 3, whatever, start. But just sit naturally, sit as peacefully as you can. I don't mind if you close your eyes and even just meditate a little, but just count your breaths. And one breath is in and out. Okay? And we will start in about 5 seconds from now. So just get yourself nice and peaceful, and I'm going to do this too, so go. Okay, stop. Okay. Anyone who's, and again, this is no good or bad here, but anyone whose count was 10 or above, hands up. Okay. I guess by definition, anyone who was less than 10, hands up. Okay. Anybody 5 or less? Anybody 6 or less? 7 or less? Okay. 8 or less? Okay. Good. Well, let me just give you an idea of what's happening usually outside of our awareness or consciousness. Put your hand up if you're 10 years or old or younger. 10 years or younger. Anyone 10 years or old? 10 years of age or younger? Okay. Let me give you an idea of how many breaths you have taken in your life at 10 years of age. I'll do the math for you, okay? If you took 10 breaths per minute in 1 hour, how many breaths is that? Only 10 or under answer. If you took 10 breaths a minute, 60 minutes in an hour, how many breaths would you take in 1 hour? Okay, you can cheat. Can I hear the answer? 600. In 1 day, you will take 14,400 breaths. In 1 year, at 10 breaths a minute, you will take 5,256,000 breaths. You don't have to admit this. But if you're 40 years of age, well, I'll run through the numbers. At 10 years of age, you've taken over 52 million breaths. At 20 years of age, you've taken over 104 million breaths. At 40 years of age, you've taken over 209 million breaths. At 80 years of age, you've taken over 418 million breaths. And if you make it to a century, 100 years, you have taken over 525 million breaths in a lifetime. Who knew? Right? Who knew? And that's breaths. Imagine if you were counting your heartbeat. If your breath is 10 times a minute, your heartbeat is probably about 70. So by the time, that's 7 times, by the time you're 10 years of age, you would have, my gosh, 350 million heartbeats. Just in 10 years. So my point is that beyond our awareness, beyond the reach of our moment-to-moment consciousness, life is moving. It's passing. The past is receding behind us. The present still lies before us. So in the principle, we say that life, the divine principle says life goes through how many stages? Right? 3. Oh, how many stages? You can see I'm getting accustomed to talking to 3, 4, 5 year olds. Yeah, 3 stages. What are they? What do we call them? Formation, growth, and completion. Yeah, in the old days we used to say perfection, and then we finally realized that that was a bit of a long shot. So it's formation, growth, and completion. And generally speaking, at least when I was studying a long time ago, we had this sort of neat division of first 7 years was formation, or first 7 years was formation, second 7 years was growth, and by 21 years of age, you were complete. You were perfect. Okay, for anyone who's older than 21, are you perfect yet?
No. Yes.
Great. Are you complete yet?
No.
Okay. Actually, in some respects, I suspect physiologically, I imagine we kind of complete a growing cycle, physically, physiologically, in our late teens, around 20, 21 years of age. That I don't know many people who grow any taller after 21. But there's very few of us who I anticipate would claim that at 21 years of age we had already developed the wisdom of, I don't know who, Moses. Life is an ongoing process. That's the point that I'm getting at. But a question I had, and I was thinking about this, is if you think about those three stages, which one do you think is the most important? Yeah, really, seriously, what do you think is the most important stage? Put your hand up if you think the foundation stage. I mean, the foundation stage, right? So who thinks foundation stage? See, look how little emphasis gets the votes up. It's amazing. Okay, those who think growth stage. You know, what's growth stage? 7 to 14. Pretty important time, right? When you think about it. Okay, what about adolescence to adulthood? Completion stage. Any votes? Okay. Yeah, I think it's worth pondering. What's the most important stage of our life? I remember I only had the opportunity to speak in San Diego one time, because you know we've come up from San Diego, and it happened to be on Super Bowl Sunday, which I kind of like because I love football, sport. And I remember I asked the question at that point, what do you think is the most important time in a football game? What's the most important part of a football game? The beginning, the first quarter, second, third, or fourth quarter? When's the most important time? What do you think?
First quarter.
First quarter, why?
Get a lead. You got to get an early lead.
Right. But what are some of the other alternatives? What about the fourth quarter? Why is the fourth quarter so important? Huh? Yeah, fourth quarter is when the game is decided, right? Really? Is it really decided just in the fourth quarter? What's really going on before you get to the fourth quarter is everything that's happening before the fourth quarter. So the point I wanted to make is just if we really think deeply, I believe you can make an argument that each stage has its own role to play. In fact, you know when we talk about the three stages of growth, I'm almost inclined to add another stage. What do you think that stage might be?
Recycle.
Actually, maybe there's 5 stages.
Recycle stage?
Yeah, later on. No, you know what I was thinking? Even before we're born, how important is the 9 months in Mummy's tummy? Right? I mean, if we're really talking about the core foundation of our life, and especially for young couples who are, going to have children, planning a family, that first 9 months is absolutely critical. The environment that little baby's growing in, the physical environment, the health of mom, Not just physical health. You know, we say don't smoke, don't drink, because whatever mum takes in, baby's drinking, right? If mum smokes, baby's smoking. So don't do it. So as I said, you know, when we think about stages of growth, maybe there is a fourth stage, and if there was a fifth, what would it be? The other end, when you go the other side. I don't think we just stop growing. I hope not, when we flip over to the other side. But key point that I wanted to talk about today really is to ask ourselves the question, if we're thinking about what's the most important stage or part of our life, let me ask you, is there anybody in this room who can do anything at all to change anything from your past? Can you go back? Can you go back into your mum's tummy? Can you go back to your childhood? Can you go back ever? Can you go back to yesterday? Can you go back to breakfast this morning? It's already gone. Those breaths that you've already consumed, they're gone. They're never coming back. Now, here we sit, and in the next minute you're going to take another 10 breaths, and by the time I'm finished, and by the way, who's got a watch on? Anyone have a watch? Okay, how long have I been talking? 12 minutes. At 8 minutes from now, tell me I've got 5 minutes to go, okay? I mean it. 8 minutes from now, 5 minutes to go. Yeah, now let's think in the other direction. Who of us in this room know what's coming tomorrow morning? Does anybody know? Does anybody know what their life will be like a month from now? A year from now? 10 years from now? We don't know. We honest to goodness don't know. So if we can't change the past that's already happened, and we don't really know what's coming in the future, then how should we be living? What's the most important stage of your life? What's the most important period of your life? Right now. Right now, listening to this amazing wisdom that was delivered to you specially just for you today, so that you would realize how precious every day is, and also to appreciate and be so grateful to God for every single breath that you take. You know, many years ago now, and it is many years ago, I was a 23-year-old young man growing up in Australia. And many of you know how much I love sport. I played cricket. We didn't have baseball. I played football. Aussie rules. I loved playing cricket and football. At 23 years of age, I played in a final, football final. And it was the playoff game, one game before the championship. And the team that had already qualified for the championship game, my team had defeated in the second last regular season game. So it's like the Super Bowl, and one of the Super Bowl competitors, my team had defeated in the second last regular season game. So we felt, pretty confident if we could get to that Super Bowl, or so-called grand final. But we had one more game. one more final that we had to win. And we lost. Not by a lot, by a fairly small margin. I was 23 years old, and I was very disappointed. But I was 23 years old, and I absolutely imagined that next year we would come back and we would take the next step. Next year never came. I joined the Unification Church.
Thank you.
Who knew? Who knew? Now, in retrospect, if I had known on that Saturday afternoon that that would be the last game of competitive football I would ever be able to play for the rest of my life, could I have played a little harder? Would I have done a little better? I was captain of my team. I was actually the captain and the coach of my team. And we only lost by a very small margin. I know I could have been the difference if I had been totally committed with the awareness that this is the last game I would ever play. In other words, we never know. So what? So big deal. Well, it is a big deal, because just as we're the theme today, with every breath, with every moment, with everything that you're doing, with every assumption that you're making, monitor, if you will, that assumption. Measure that assumption against an awareness that every moment is a gift. Every breath is a gift from God, and you can never tell exactly the future. And if that's the case, make the most of every moment. Don't let something pass by that you could have acted upon. Don't let it, if you're at school and you see a schoolmate or a person who's clearly lonely, clearly sad, has something going on in their life that you maybe don't understand, but you can see the body language. They're hurting. Don't let the moment pass to reach out to that child, to that school friend, to that girl or boy. You don't know. That moment where you reach out might save someone's life one day. You don't know. And how would you feel if you came to school the next day and learned that the person who you saw in your heart was feeling, I should reach out, I feel sorry, I feel empathy for their suffering, I didn't, and they committed suicide last night? We never know. It's not just my life. It's the life of the world around us. Every moment. What am I giving? What can I contribute? How can I be? You know, and the interesting thing is, sometimes we're the givers. You know, many times we put a very high virtue and priority on how much we give, right? To be the subject of love, to be the subject of giving, of caring, of service. You know, there are times when it's not our position to be a subject of love. It's our position to permit ourselves to be the object of someone's love and care. Have there ever been times where you've rejected somebody's attention? For husbands and wives, has there ever been a moment when you've been feeling really crappy and your husband or wife reached out to you and you brushed them aside? It's not always just the giving. It's also moment to moment having a heart sensitive enough to be able to receive. Because to the degree that your heart is able to receive, actually you're creating the space in which God may bless your partner through their giving. It's a circle, right? Give and take. My spouse sees my heartache, sees my grief, sees my anger, my frustration, and reaches out in love. That circle is only a circle if I'm able to receive it. If I let it in. And when that circle completes, the subject of love feels wonderful, and you as the object can be restored, renewed, whatever. You just feel good. You allow yourself to feel better. So moment by moment, with every breath, an awareness and a consciousness of how valuable these moments are, and don't lose them. I guarantee you today, and you know this, and while it remains somewhat distant from us, it's not really in our consciousness. But I know today there is a husband and a wife, there's a parent and children who greeted each other this morning, and dad or mum or child has died in a car crash today. I mean, I know this is pretty serious stuff, but for hundreds, if not thousands of people today, their life is going to be attended by a tragedy they never anticipated. And it will leave a lot of people in their hearts wondering or feeling, oh my God, if only I had known, I would have done this. Or if only I had known, I would not have done this. Moment by moment. So, the moral of the message is really very simple. No matter how many million breaths we are given by heaven, by God, on one day, in one moment, we will take our last. Right? I mean, it's true. One day, in one moment, we will take our last. I didn't do this as a part of the exercise, but I thought about, after counting our breaths for a minute, having everyone hold their breath for a minute and see what it feels like to live without breath for 1 minute. Then you appreciate the gift of breath, the gift of life. But we don't know how many breaths we have. The one thing we do know, that however old we are, we're closer to the last one than we were yesterday. So, what's the most important time of your life? The beginning, the middle, and the end. Every single day, in every moment, in every gesture. For mum and dad in their relationship with one another, every moment is precious. For mum and dad in the relationship that they have, that their children witness, every moment. For every parent whose children are watching you, every moment is precious. Your, what's the word? Imprinting. You're imprinting into little minds and little hearts the image of what it is to be a mom or a dad. That imprint is the imprint they take into their life. Mum and dad the affection, the kindness, the love that you share with each other. You're imprinting into little minds and little hearts not just the appearance of affection, the feeling of love. I don't know, I'm sure you have this experience, but I am truly blessed because my wife is one of the most beautiful and affectionate souls on this planet. And when she comes up to me and embraces me and gives me a hug, it is like this massive magnet, because all of a sudden, around the room, if it's a big room, you'll hear the sounds of little feet running to join the hug. Isn't it true?
Yeah.
They feel the love. They want to be a part of it. They run up, pick me up, group hug, right? Group hug, imprinting, using those moments both to give and in the times when we need it, and there are times when we need it to be able to receive, so that every breath from the first to the last contributes to a beautiful life and makes that fifth stage a truly wonderful place, and a place that we can transition to at any time with absolute freedom. With absolute freedom. With the knowledge that I did everything, moment to moment, that my heart told me I should do, that I didn't do in moments where I was tempted to do something that I shouldn't, but my mind and my conscience, my soul prohibited me from doing that. Thank you, God. Thank you, God, I didn't go there. Because now I'm free. I'm truly free to live. So I wanted to, in our family, we do have a situation where you get to value every day. And today is Paxton's 12th birthday. Right? So we're celebrating his 12th birthday. And it's going to be a wonderful day. And I hope also today and the coming week and with every single breath that you take this week and for the weeks ahead, let's make them wonderful breaths and wonderful lives. Thank you.